they smelling? What are they seeing? What are they hearing? As they're entering that property, I want you to address each and every one of those senses because that's going to make a difference. That's going to help them to immerse into that space, immerse into that experience. And it doesn't have to break the bank. If you have some nice unwinding music that's playing around the time that they're going to be checking in so that they're listening to something as they're, unpacking.
Welcome to the STR Home Financing Podcast, where we believe a legacy is something you build, not just something you leave behind. And now, here's your host, Jeff Chisum.
Hey, this is Jeff Chisum with STR Home Financing. Very excited to be with you. Thank you for joining me for another installment of 3 Things You Should Know, where I bring in experts from the short-term rental industry to share 3 things that you should know related to kind of their expertise. And this is another great installment because I bring in Dr. Rachel Gainsbrugh to this episode. She is awesome. You guys are going to love listening to what she has to share today if you've never come across Rachel out there in the STR world. So welcome, Rachel. How are you today?
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. Your video is stuck, but will not affect the podcast.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I call you Rachel because I know you personally, but more appropriate introduction would be Dr. Gainsbrugh. You definitely earned that designation, so I apologize for that.
No, it is all good. And Jeff, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to put this content out to the community because your area of expertise is so important for us. And I'm just so appreciative of you. And so thank you for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, this community that we're a part of has crossed our paths with people we wouldn't have been introduced to otherwise. And you are one of those people, and very honored to have crossed paths with you. So we'll jump into the podcast. We keep to that 10-minute micro podcast or close to it. You never know when we're going to break into just a golden nugget, and we don't want to discount that or bypass that. But yeah, tell us who you are, what makes you human, what you've done in the short-term rental space, and what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm a mom of 2 boys, a wife as well. Grew up in the inner city of Miami, was born in Haiti, which is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Went on to get my doctorate because I really believed that that was going to be the path for me to open some doors. And ever since then, though, I would say the elephant in the room was the burnout for both me and a lot of other docs, nurses, pharmacists, just medical professionals. And it really hit an apex over the last few years or so. So it feels like you're working so hard to save lives, but then you yourself aren't healthy. You're not taking care of yourself. You don't have the time capital. You're working overnight shifts. And so it a lot of things compounded on top of that, of course. But ever since then, I've been looking for another way to generate revenue without punching the clock. And so I had discovered short-term rentals, and really I haven't looked back from that moment, really. And so ever since then, I've been sharing my knowledge with my community, other medical professionals who are just completely burnt out, who are looking for a way to also generate revenue. Because what I'm seeing that's happening, what's happened for me is when you have some interest outside of that area of expertise that gives you a little bit more breathing room, you approach medicine with a whole new renewed look, So I really think that's what's going to heal healthcare. Have an opportunity to step away a little bit, creating a little bit of that margin really has brought my patient care to life-changing levels, and the same for the members of our community. And that really is my goal of sharing that message out there. And so that's pretty much what I'm doing. I grew a community of medical professionals and other busy professionals who are looking to get started with short-term rentals, specifically luxury short-term rentals. And we've also dabbled and stepped all the way into luxury mid-term rentals, which primarily focuses on the displaced homeowner strategy. So not necessarily travel nurses or anything like that, but because we have the larger homes, so we can help those who are displaced. But just really doubling down on that and sharing that with my community has been a pure joy to me. We have over 120 members who have launched ever since joining our community. So super pumped about that.
Well, I'm a big believer in diversification with our investments.
Mm.
And, even within the asset class of short term rentals, there's ways to diversify, and you're doing that. So, one of the things that I've been able to share with our clients is that after 1 year, if you use that 10% down second home occupancy loan, you're released from those occupancy requirements, which basically are you can't put yourself in a position where you lose the ability to occupy that property. So no long-term leases, no lease agreements where in the eyes of whatever state that property is in, they take on tenant rights. So takes away some of those midterm rentals, but after a year you can participate in them. And there's so many things that I've heard you share that I never would have thought of when it comes to, insurance claims and just the different avenues that you can pursue there. So a lot of great information that you're bringing to the space to show how you can even diversify short-term rentals. It's not even, all about Airbnb and Vrbo and what you can do there with weekend stays. So I love that. So meat of the interview, I thought you would be a great person to share 3 things that people can do in their short-term rentals to bring luxury. People go on vacation, they want to feel like they are staying in somewhere really, really nice. And, there's all sorts of benefits to a property like that, repeat stays, referrals. So luxury brings a lot to the table. So 3 things that you would share with our listeners that they can bring luxury to a property without breaking the bank.
Absolutely. So, number one, think about the guest experiences as it relates to their senses. You remember how we learned about the 5 senses in school? I want you to really think about all 5 senses. What are they smelling? What are they seeing? What are they hearing? As they're entering that property, I want you to address each and every one of those senses because that's going to make a difference. That's going to help them to immerse into that space, immerse into that experience. And it doesn't have to break the bank. If you have some nice unwinding music that's playing around the time that they're going to be checking in so that they're listening to something as they're, unpacking. If you have some really clean smells as they're going in, that's going to be the first thing that they interact with, right? Once they open the door, they're going to smell something. We want to make sure that they're smelling something that is refreshing, nothing too potent. You just really want to double down on those 5 senses. So keep that in mind. So that is number one. Number 2, adding a bit of tech to the property. And again, does not have to break the bank because tech can add that level of convenience, which is one of the pillars of luxury when it comes to luxury travel. So it's no longer, diamond plated bathrooms or anything like that, like Lifestyle and the Rich.
Mhm.
No one cares about that. The luxury experience is going to be about convenience, so as they're checking in, we want to have that keyless entry, just make it really easy peasy for them to get in there, right? Other things are like adding smart TVs, very simple to use. Smart TVs are going to be very important. And finally, the third thing that's going to add a level of luxury without breaking the bank is going to be that communication. Being very attentive to the purpose of their visit. Sometimes they're visiting for vacation. Sometimes it's an anniversary or wedding celebration or a honeymoon. So just being very attentive and addressing that by providing your local recommendations, I think it's going to be the key to providing that luxury experience without breaking the bank.
Oh, that is awesome and so true. So 2 questions I have for you. Do you have a luxury smell of choice?
Ooh, I like this white tea from the Wyndham. It's
Nice.
really nice.
White tea from the Wyndham. There you go. Write that one down. Yeah, and just, giving that level of service that's beyond what people would expect. or maybe they do expect it and you fulfill it. But so important to have that communication where people feel like they were really well taken care of. That is great information to remember. So, Rachel, 3 ways that people can connect with you. They can find you out there. They can get more of what you're doing. What are the 3 best ways that people can connect?
Yeah, I have a resource. If they go to 75gems.com, that's 75gems.com, they'll be added to my email list, and they'll also have access to my list of the top 75 cities that I'm looking at to invest in that show the highest profitability for short-term rentals. The second way is I'm on Instagram under short.term.gems. That's short.term.gems. And lastly, I'm on Facebook. You can find me by my name, Rachel Gainsbrugh, and I've got a group there that I would love to connect with your audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the information. Thank you for what you bring to the community and the investment that you've made there. So thank you. Until next time, take care.
Jeff Chisum is a registered mortgage loan officer with CMG Home Loans, NMLS ID 1820. CMG Home Loans is an equal housing lender. All programs, products, and terms discussed on this show are subject to change without notice.